Okay, picture this. You've got a therapist's office, right? That quiet sort of waiting feeling. And then a new therapist arrives. Mark. He's ready to help,
Yeah.
But he's met with this young boy, Evan, who just says nothing. Total silence.
Yeah, it sounds like, well, a challenging start, but maybe not completely out of the ordinary for therapy, right? That initial hurdle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what you'd think. But what if the silence isn't just psychological trauma? What if it's something else? Something genuinely uncanny.
Okay, now you've got my attention. Where are we going with this?
So this is where our source comes in. We're doing a deep dive into a story called The Silent Child. It's from a website, True Ghost Tales. So, True Ghost Tale.
Right. Got it.
Our plan here is to really unpack this narrative. We want to follow the strange events as they happen step by step and try to figure out what's actually going on at the core of this mystery.
Sounds good. So starting from that first meeting, Mark and Evan.
Yeah. The story sets up Mark, the therapist, walking into the situation. And you immediately get this sense that something's off about Evan.
It's not just shyness, is it? The description says, troubled, his eyes are downcast, hollow and distant. It sounds heavy.
Really heavy. And then Evan's mother talks about his visions, seeing things that aren't there. You can almost hear the fear and, honestly, the exhaustion in her voice.
Desperation, yeah.
And Mark, he tries the usual approaches, right? Trying to connect. But he hits that wall of silence, just those empty eyes looking, or rather, not looking at him.
It paints a pretty bleak picture from the outset. But then there's that other detail, the physical one.
Oh, right. The room temperature. It seems to drop during that very first session.
Yeah. Now, you could try to explain that away, couldn't you? A draft, maybe the AC kicked on weirdly.
Sure you could. But in a story called The Silent Child from True Ghost Tales, it feels like a sign, doesn't it?
It definitely shifts the tone. It's that classic subtle hint. Maybe this isn't just about Evan's internal state. Maybe something external is present.
Exactly. That little unexplained chill. Okay, so Mark doesn't give up. He continues the sessions. And this is where things start getting, well, weirder.
It moves beyond just Evan's silence, right? The focus shifts a bit.
Yeah. We start getting these descriptions of, like, shifting shadows in Mark's peripheral vision and this feeling he keeps having. Like someone else is in the room, even when he's alone.
Classic unsettling feelings. That sense that your environment isn't quite stable, that you're not alone. It taps into something primal, I think.
It really does.
Yes.
And then the sounds start.
The auditory element, that always adds another layer.
It really does. Mark's working late, reviewing notes. The office should be totally empty. And he hears a whisper. Faint, but there.
Just hearing you say it gives me a bit of a chill. Being alone and hearing a voice.
Right. It's that violation of your solitude. And it's not just a one-off thing either.
No, the story says it continues. Over the next few days, the whispering keeps happening. Always just on the edge of hearing.
Just enough to make him constantly on edge, second-guessing himself. Is it real? Is it stress?
And sound is so effective for that, isn't it? You can close your eyes, but you can't really close your ears in the same way. A sound suggests something there, whether you can see it or not.
Totally. It feels invasive. And all this time, while Mark's getting more and more unnerved by the whispers and shadows,
Evan's just watching him.
Yeah. With that same intense gaze. It's like he knows something's happening, maybe even sees what Mark only senses.
It definitely ramps up the tension. Is Evan aware? Is he connected to this? His silence starts to feel less like withdrawal and more like knowing.
Precisely. Which leads us to the moment it all changes. The silence breaks.
Finally. What does he say?
2 words. He just looks past Mark, not at him, but past him, and says, "They're here."
Wow. Okay. That's direct. And looking past him
instantly makes the hair on your neck stand up, right? Like something's right behind you.
Absolutely. And does the atmosphere change then?
Immediately. The story describes the room actually getting darker, feeling heavy, like the air itself changes.
So it's not just in Mark's head. The environment reflects Evan's words.
That's how it's presented. Mark turns, expects to see something. But there's nothing there. Just empty room.
But the feeling remains. The cold, the heaviness.
Exactly. That cold, oppressive feeling doesn't go away, even though visually, nothing's changed. It's that disconnect again.
Very effective, that gap between feeling and seeing. So what happens next? Evan's spoken once.
He speaks again, and this time, it's even more terrifying. He says, they want to be seen.
Oh boy. Okay,
and
how do they?
That's when it happens. The shadows Mark had been glimpsing. They stop just being flickers. They start to coalesce to take actual shape.
So we're moving from suggestion and feeling to actual manifestation.
Yep. No more subtlety. The story says the shadows start creeping from the corners, becoming distinct forms.
The unseen is breaking through, just like Evan said.
You can practically feel Mark's reaction, the chill down his spine, the air thickening, and then the lights flicker.
Of course they do. It wouldn't be complete without flickering lights.
Right. A classic for a reason, I guess. But what he sees in that flickering light, it's horrific.
What is it?
Pale figures, ghostly, with empty eyes and mouths open in silent screams.
Silent screams. That's a particularly nasty detail. Why silent, do you think?
It feels like, I don't know, like their suffering is so deep it's beyond sound. Or maybe they can't communicate it in a way we understand. It's just pure visual anguish.
That makes sense. A kind of trapped torment. Deeply unsettling.
And Mark, he's just frozen, utterly terrified as these ghosts start moving towards him, reaching out.
Paralyzed by fear. Understandable.
But here's the really chilling part. While Mark is losing it, completely terrified, Evan is calm.
Calm while these figures are manifesting.
Disturbingly calm, just watching it all happen. And the story mentions the ghosts have these sorrowful eyes fixed on Mark.
Wow, that contrast is stark. Evan's calm versus Mark's terror. What does that imply about Evan?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Is he used to this? Does he understand them? Is he somehow orchestrating it? It completely flips our perception of him as just a scared kid.
It really does. He goes from patient to something else, an observer. Maybe more.
It definitely leads us into the climax, where things get even more intense, if that's even possible.
Hard to imagine, but let's hear it.
The temperature plummets again, dramatically. So cold, Mark can see his own breath.
Okay, full-on environmental effects now.
And the ghosts are right there, inches away. He can see their hollow eyes up close.
Nightmare fuel. Pure nightmare fuel.
And then Evan whispers again. And somehow, his voice seems to blend with the silent screams of the ghosts. He says, "They'll never leave you now."
Whoa. They'll never leave you now. That sounds like a curse, a sentence.
It feels incredibly final. And that merging of his voice with the ghosts, it's like they're connected, or he's speaking for them.
Yeah, blurring that line between the living child and these spectral figures. What happens to Mark?
The room goes completely dark, pitch black. And Mark lets out this muffled scream as he feels hands grabbing him, dragging them away.
Dragged away into the darkness by the ghosts.
Yeah. And then silence. The room is empty again. Except the story says there's this faint, shimmering outline where Mark was standing.
Like an imprint, a residue.
Something like that. And Evan's final whisper just hangs in the air. Then we see Evan sitting quietly. The shadows are gone. He seems peaceful.
Peaceful. After witnessing that, that's incredibly disturbing. The whole dynamic is just turned on its head.
Completely. It leaves you thinking Mark was just another victim claimed by this haunting, right? And Evan, well, who knows what Evan is.
But that's not the end of it, is it? There's more.
Oh no. There's the twist. The big one.
Okay, hit me with it.
As Mark is being pulled into the dark, just in that last moment, he catches his reflection. In a window or something reflective in the room.
What?
It's not his face looking back.
What is it?
It's the face of a child. Pale, ghostly, like the figures he just saw.
Wait, his reflection is a ghost child?
Exactly. And seeing that reflection, it's like a key. It unlocks something in his mind.
Memories.
A flood of them. Blinding lights, screeching tires, a crash, and then nothing. Blankness.
Oh my God, an accident.
A fatal one. The realization hits him like a physical blow. He wasn't the therapist treating a haunted child.
He was one of the ghosts, all along.
He is one of the ghosts. He died in that crash and somehow forgot. His mind completely blocked it out.
Wow. That changes everything. The entire story. His interactions with Evan, the whispers, the figures, they weren't just haunting him.
They were like him. Other spirits may be trapped there too. And he couldn't see himself for what he was.
That's profoundly sad and terrifying. To be dead and not even know it, how could memory repress something that fundamental?
It speaks to immense trauma, doesn't it? The mind protecting itself from something unbearable, even at the cost of reality itself.
Absolutely. So when the ghosts were reaching for him, maybe it wasn't entirely hostile.
Or maybe it was recognition. And then Evan's final words to Mark as he's taken into the darkness with the other spirits.
What does Evan say then?
He whispers, "You're home now."
You're home now. As if this is where he belongs, with the other spirits.
It implies Evan knew all along, doesn't it? That he saw Mark wasn't a living therapist, but another spirit. And maybe Evan's role was guiding him, helping him accept it.
So Evan wasn't just observing, he was facilitating Mark's transition or acceptance. That makes his calmness make a terrifying kind of sense.
It does. The ghosts disappear then, taking Mark with them, presumably because he's finally remembered, finally accepted his state. He understands in those last moments.
So the therapist investigating the haunting was himself part of the haunting, interacting with his own kind without realizing it. That's a fantastic twist.
It really is. It completely reframes the whole narrative and makes you question everything you thought was happening.
It forces you to think about perception, reality, memory. I mean, how fragile is our sense of self if we can forget our own death?
Right. That level of denial or repression is staggering. What does that say about how much of our reality is constructed by our own minds, maybe to protect us?
And it puts Evan in a whole new light. Was he aware from the very beginning, that calm demeanor, those pointed statements, they're here, they want to be seen?
Was he speaking to Mark, trying to get him to see? And that final line, "You're home now," is that comfort or something else? A confirmation that Mark has finally rejoined his own kind.
It leaves you with so many questions about Evan's nature and awareness. Was he a bridge between worlds, a knowing guide? Or just a child uniquely attuned to the spectral realm?
Yeah, this deep dive into the silent child certainly leaves you feeling uneasy. It makes you really chew on the idea of reality, what's truly real versus what we perceive or remember.
It definitely lingers. The idea that fundamental truths about ourselves, even something as huge as life or death, could be hidden from our own consciousness.
Make you wonder, doesn't it? What unseen things, what forgotten events might be shaping our reality right now in ways we don't even realize.
That's the truly chilling thought to end on. What might we be utterly unaware of about our own existence?